Okay, so we are doing verse 6 today. Anyone remembers what we did the last time? Verse 5. Anything you remember from verse 5? Anything important that you remember? Verse 5.
In the verse 5, they were discussing the three kinds of devotees,
Mhm.
Kanishth, Madhyam, and Uttam.
Mm.
The Kanishth is the one who got the initial kind of initiation,
Mhm.
the Nam initiation, and their Shraddha is like fragile.
Mm.
They discrimination is not that good, like Madhyam Adhikari.
Mm.
Uh, and the Madhyam is the one who has the second initiation also. Um,
Okay.
and we should give obeisances to the
Mhm.
Madhyam one. And Kanishth, we should just in our mind, uh, in our mind, just you know, pray to him, I guess. And the
Mm.
Uttam is the one we serve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, so learning to discriminate, not judge anybody. Judgment, as we talked about, is based on mental speculation, whereas the discrimination is based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So we judge, we discriminate, and we seek proper association according to where we are. And then, if we don't, whomever we associate with, we will be in that position. So it's not like I'm having an ego and I don't want to associate with somebody. It's just that I don't see it helping me in my bhakti, or it, even to the negative extent, might hurt my bhakti. So I'm just saying that, okay, I don't understand the way this person is behaving, or he or she lives his or her life, but I cannot associate because it does not fit well with me. So yes, so no judging anybody on the mental level, but just discriminating. So, and when I say Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, Guru is your spiritual teacher, Sadhus are devotees who are sincerely practicing, and Shastra are literature, books. Right? So this, what we are reading is Shastra right now, Nectar of Instruction. So what you can do is you can read this book and learn to discriminate whom you should associate with and whom you should not associate. And a simple principle to know whom to associate is that that person should help you grow in your bhakti, should motivate you in your bhakti. And if that is not happening, then you're probably not associating with the right people. Okay, so yeah, so that's a good summary. So we are on verse 6 today. Let me just show, where was that? Um, okay, this thing. This is something I shared with all
Yeah,
of you.
Prabhupada. Okay.
Something that we discussed right in the beginning, right? That how Dictator of Instruction walks you through all the steps of bhakti, how we progress in bhakti. We start with Shraddha, which is faith. When we get some faith, we start associating with devotees. Then we perform some devotional services. Then our heart becomes clean, it starts to clean up. We become steady, taste comes, so on and so forth. The first three verses were Shraddha. How do you develop faith in this process? First one, Vachyo Vegam, Mansa Krodh Vegam, Jibha Vegam, Udarupastha Vegam. Controlling our senses. But that's not the goal of bhakti. It is helpful in bhakti when we control our senses. Then six things we should avoid. Atyahara priyasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jan sangha chalolyuncha. So that helps us develop faith. Then the third one, six things that we should be doing. Utsaha nishya dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga shato vritti. So these are the six things we should do. So that was Shraddha. So those things help us build our faith. Now from the fourth verse onward, we went into Sadhu Sangha, how to associate with devotees. So the first step was Dadati prati ghinati guhya makyati prachati bhunjte bhojate chai. That you confidentially share your heart with another devotee whom you have faith on, not every devotee. And we talked about that in detail. And then you offer food, you take food. Offer gifts, take gifts. And the intention is more important. Okay, so that's sadhu sangam. So this verse that we're going to do today is the last one in sadhu sangam. How should we associate? So the first one told us what we should do, the fourth verse. Fifth one told us how to discriminate whom to interact with. And now let's see what the sixth one is going to tell us. Yes. Okay. दृष्टेर स्वभाव जनितेर वपुषष्ट दोषेर ना प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्त जनस्य पाशेर गंगां भशाम न खलो बुद्बुदफे न पंखे brahma dravatvam apagachyati nira dharma. So what the verse says, being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Okay. So, last verse of the Sadhu Sangha segment. Okay. Now, so what is it saying? Drishter subhava janiter. Subhava, right? So subhava is the three modes that are defect. Because of the three modes, there are defects apparent in the Vaishnavas, in the devotees. Okay. Drishter, they are visible. Vapusha doshe. Vapusha means body. These are bodily defects, not the defects of the soul. Na prakritatvam iha. So don't see with prakrita, with a materialistic vision. So the essence, seek the essence here. That's the message here, right? So we see this many times. Devotees, they are coming from different backgrounds. There are many devotees who are not physically fit, but they are very extremely elevated devotees. And you might have seen many devotees who are might not be physically fit and they are extremely elevated. So out of being in that mode that, oh, I'm looking at this person on a physical level, we are very prone to offend them. So that is why the explanation is being given here that defects of the body are born out of the three modes. I, as a soul, am entangled in the world of matter. And sometimes this matter overpowers me, right? But when it gets overpowered in me or in anybody else, we seek the spiritual spark in them, right? More importantly, for your own sanity, you want to do that. Don't want to be sucked in that whirlpool where we are constantly, criticizing others. So look at him, how ugly he is, or how tall he is, or how thin she is, or whatever it may be. So that affects our bhakti, that hurts our bhakti, right? So let's see what Prabhupada is saying. So Prabhupada, right in the beginning, he's talking about avyabhicharini bhakti, means unalloyed devotion. Okay? So unalloyed, the word unalloyed. So Prabhupada used this phrase. So Prabhupada created a lot of words and phrases that were not commonly used in English language. So, for example, one of them is this one, unalloyed devotion. After a year of establishing ISKCON, Prabhupada once took his new disciples to Boston Harbor. Boston Harbor was where Prabhupada got off for the first time, right, in the United States. And there was a place like called the Boston Steel. There was a steel factory where Prabhupada got off. There was a steel factory right close to where Prabhupada got off. Okay. And there it was written that we provide unalloyed steel. That's where Prabhupada picked up that word unalloyed. He started using it in his bhakti, in this whole his books and everywhere, right? So uh, so Prabhupada, when he landed in US, he saw that word unalloyed, and that's where he picked up. He said unalloyed devotional service. So Abhyavicharini means unalloyed devotional service. Anybody who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service, even if superficially he or she might not look perfect, we have to ignore that. We have to look at the essence, that what is this devotee telling us? What is this devotee speaking? What is this devotee's consciousness? Where does it stand? And that this verse comes after the last fifth verse, because in the fifth verse it helps you discriminate. And then once you know how to discriminate somebody, then you don't judge them on the material level, right? Because you have a more deeper connection with that person, because you have now learned to discriminate on the basis of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Okay. That's where Prabhupada is starting with unalloyed devotional service. Mhm. And then Prabhupada quotes another verse here. I think it comes somewhere close. Yes, this one. Api chet suduracharo bhajante mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vivasito hi saha. This comes in the ninth chapter. And Prabhupada is saying that no one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing the translation of this verse, ninth chapter. Even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. Yes, Sangeeta.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So
Hare
Prabhu, I
Krishna.
have a question. So you said that the body is born out of the three modes.
Mhm.
So what are those three modes?
Goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sattva,
Okay.
Rajas, Tama. We all have these three modes in us. At any given time, all these modes are fighting with each other. And we'll talk about modes in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, out of the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, spends over 100 verses on modes. So I'll give you a detailed description, because that's very, very critical for us to understand our existence in this world. So we all are in these three modes at some time or the other. Goodness means we are very calm, peaceful, happy. Passion, we are very aggressive, trying to achieve things. And tamas, ignorance, where we are just lazy, utterly lazy. So these three modes can eventually lead to apparent defects in us. For example, if I'm lazy, I'll go fat. I don't work out, or I don't go, and I'm just always laying on the couch. So that can be, if I'm overly passionate and aggressive about something, I can become, I can probably, I'll have dark circles under my eye or something. I'm just giving random examples, but it can happen because of three modes. Yeah, so those are the three modes that I was referring to.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is quoting, yes, Sandeep Prabhu.
So Prabhuji, I mean, I understand like what you're saying about like how to discriminate, right? I mean, basically not on the based on the bodily outside body, right? And that will help us like also come to like be more humble. But my question is like, Prabhuji, is that not a case for like any other person, not just devotees? Because one should not discriminate against devotees, right? I mean, non-devotees as well. So just wanted to understand that part of it. That how would you in the regular situation versus like devotees? Does this thing apply?
So you're saying that this way of approaching devotees can be applied to common other people also? Is that your question?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I would imagine because that should be applied everywhere, right? To be, isn't that the
It
case?
should
Or
be. It should be. It should be applied everywhere. However, you should have extra precaution when you are dealing with devotees. I mentioned this. I must have surely mentioned this earlier. Offending a devotee is called a hati matta aparad. Hati matta means a mad elephant offense. If you leave a mad elephant in the garden, he's going to just ruin everything. He'll pluck every tree off. He will just trample every, plant you're growing or flower bush you're growing, everything. Similarly, when you offend a devotee, then that offense will come like a mad elephant. It will rout every how do you say, every purity or any piety that you have gained because of your devotional service. So yes, you can apply this to everybody. It's good. It'll keep you in a mode of goodness. However, be extra cautious when you're dealing with devotees, because devotees are called Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas means they are very dear to Vishnu. They're very dear to Krishna. So if you offend somebody who's very dear to Krishna, then there is no chance of us to progressing in bhakti. So yes, just keep that in mind. But yes, you can apply this to others also.
So you mean like not judge people based on their bodily outside, because you never know, right? Even regular
Yeah,
people could have something, good in them, which can't see, right? So
yeah. So yes, for
okay,
sure,
fine.
you should
Yeah.
not do that.
Okay.
Uh, However, here it's very specifically given about devotees, what we are reading. And if you remember, we read that verse from fourth canto, right, where Prabhupada was explaining how Suruchi, mother of Dhruva, stepmother of Dhruva, she had to suffer because she offended Dhruva. She didn't know Dhruva was a pure devotee, but unknowingly also when she offended him, she had to suffer. Her son died, and then she ran into the forest, and there was a forest fire, and she burnt out. So yes, you should not offend anybody because you don't know who that person is. However, be very, very cautious with devotees. So be more present and more conscious of when you are dealing with devotees. Because devotees might not take offense, but Krishna will take offense. And if Krishna takes offense, our bhakti is done for. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Ramadan does. Can you
Yes.
say that again? What is mad elephant offense is called?
Oh, you mean the
Sanskrit.
this Sanskrit verse?
Yeah.
Just give me a second. I'll pull up the verse and I'll show you.
Right.
It's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't remember the verse number on top of my head, but I can find it. Give me a second. It's called Hati Matta Aparat, but I'll find it for you. Okay, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, 1956.
So the essence is that when you offend the devotee, just like the elephant can ruin the whole garden, you can ruin the whole bhakti, right?
Yes. So it says, this is Mahaprabhu talking to Rupa Goswami. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. And the phrase you're looking for is Hati Mata. This is Hati Mata. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 19.156.
Okay. So
Yeah.
question is, if you offended by accident and then ruin your whole bhakti, but then there's other saying that every spiritual practice that you credited, you build a credit, you never lose that credit. You pick up from where so you wouldn't lose all other spiritual practice that you had because of that offense.
So what's your question? I didn't get your question.
So there are two different statements. One is that you will lose up your bhakti, and the other statement is you will pick up where you left.
Okay.
You
So
not lose all credits.
So yes, so Krishna says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 40th verse, Nihabikarmo nastosти pratyavaya na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayato mahato vahat. Even if little devotional service, that's never lost. Yes, very right. Consider your bhakti like a bank account. Okay. You keep depositing in that bank account. Okay. Yes. Okay. Every day you wake up, you do your 16 rounds, you do your reading, chanting, hearing, try your best. So you keep on accumulating in that bank account. But sometimes when we do something wrong accidentally, or well, let me come to that part, but I'll show you. What happens is it's not like you you lose your money from the bank account. But you can surely lose access to it. That account can get frozen, right? Your bank account get frozen, right? You didn't provide your whatever your social security number or some details, and the bank said, "Hey, you're not providing it. We're going to freeze your account." Your money doesn't go anywhere, but it can become inaccessible for some time. We might not have access to it. Then you have to go through a process to unfreeze it. Okay, so understand that that's what happens. Yes, you never lose your bhakti, but you can surely lose access to it. So understand that's one part to it. Secondly, is whether you're doing it accidentally or on purpose. That creates a huge difference. Accidentally, Krishna can forgive us. Krishna forgives that. And Krishna himself is saying this in the 9th chapter, verse number 30, that, or I can just pull that. We just read that, right? Prabhupada is quoting in Apichet Sudracharo, Bhajante Mamananyabhat, Sadhureva Samantavya Samapi. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, he's to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. So now, what does it mean here? Does it mean that anybody can do any mistake and still remain in bhakti? No. This means that when we do something, some abominable action, accidentally, not purposefully, not through a conscious thought process that I'm going to do this. This is the way I'm going to hurt this devotee. This is the way I'm going to ruin his reputation or steal his money or whatever that may be. If it's done with the proper thought process, thought out consciously, that is never forgiven. If it is done accidentally, we might get some negative karma because of it, but Krishna will acknowledge that it was done unknowingly, and he will immediately bring us back to the process. Right? So that's the way to understand it.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Yeah, okay, no, I won't go there, but okay. Let's see what else is Prabhupada saying. So yes, Prabhupada is quoting this verse that I just referred, 9:30. So yes, accidental, okay, might get some repercussions, but it's not going to be huge, not going to be permanent. But if we really do bad, if we do it consciously, Krishna says this in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you get pushed more and more deeper into ignorance. We go into those lower life species. We might go into the hellish planets and suffer. If we do that consciously, then the outcome is different. Okay. Now, so what Prabhupada is doing in this purport, and so he's going to tell us how one is affected by Maya in this scenario where we offend a devotee. Okay. And then he will give us that the cause of that disease and then the cure for that disease. So I'll just walk you through what I mean. Okay. So, for example, here Prabhupada is giving us some symptoms that where like this the symptoms of the disease, right? So how we can offend somebody, how we misuse this concept, or how we misuse the process. Okay, so for example, in Vrindavan there are people who have this title called Goswami, and they are born with this title. It was a family thing. My father was a Goswami, I'll be a Goswami. But the word Goswami itself means that somebody who controls his senses. But then the disease is that people who are born in that family, they think that they also become Goswamis without controlling their senses. Right? So that's the disease. So what Prabhupada is telling us, that for a pure devotee, he or she may not be born in a Goswami family. But if he's following the principle of Avyabhicharini Bhakti, then he's pure. Then he's a pure devotee. So Prabhupada is saying one of the disease is to consider somebody according to their birth. And Prabhupada will go on and tell us here, I think, yes, there is an undercurrent of protest against our awarding the title of Goswami to the American Vaishnavas of the Krishna consciousness movement. When Prabhupada started giving the Goswami title to his disciples, a lot of Prabhupada's god brothers in India were offended by that. And they would criticize Prabhupada that how can Americans become sannyasis? Because they're not born as a Brahmin. But that's not what Rupa Goswami is telling us. That's not what Krishna tells us. That's not what Bhagavad Gita says. So that's a disease, actually, that when people start considering others on the basis of their birth. Okay, so that's one of the diseases that we have to avoid. Okay, so uh, essential aspect of a devotee is that he is serving Krishna. Okay, so and even if there is some imperfections, right? But just because there is Krishna present in it, that thing becomes perfect. Yeah. So we are not looking to be perfect. We all are looking to be humble. However, when we sincerely become humble, then we automatically become perfect. So that's to keep in mind. So Krishna, as I've told you a few times, Krishna is always looking at our intentions. He is Bhava Grahi Janardhan. Bhava means your intention. Grahi means take. Janardhan means Krishna, Lord. So he's Bhava Grahi Janardhan. He takes our intentions. And if our intentions are not correct, but externally we try to present something, doesn't matter. Krishna does not appreciate that. So don't make that mistake or that disease, don't get that disease of identifying somebody on the basis of their birth. And that's what the whole Krishna consciousness movement is based upon. Born in whichever part of the world, if they can follow the principles given in Nectar of Instruction in Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada has very clearly elaborated for us, he or she is eligible to become a Goswami, to become a perfect, pure devotee. So, yes, so that's one aspect. Another aspect uh, here is that Prabhupada is actually correcting his own disciples also here, because his disciples were, young, uh, 20, 20 or so years, boys and girls. So he's saying that, on the other hand, a devotee who has attained the title of Goswami, but is not born of a Brahmin father or a Goswami in the family of Nityananda or Advaita Prabhu, should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he's become a Goswami. So Prabhupada is telling his disciples, yes, I have awarded you the position of a Goswami, but don't become puffed up because of that. If you do that, you'll immediately fall down. Again, going back to the intention. Okay? So important to understand that. Right? So then Prabhupada says, where's that? Bodily defect. Okay, looking at bodily defects of devotees. Okay? Sometimes we look at somebody who's suffering and we start judging them, saying that this person is suffering because of his or her own karma. However, that again is an offense. We have to avoid that. So we have to understand that this principle is for our own sanity and humility. This concept of karma, don't try to apply it on other people. Apply it on yourself only. That I am suffering because of my karma. Whatever I'm going through is because of my karma. It's not because of somebody else, not because of today the weather was not good, or my car broke down because of somebody, or my boss screamed at me or something. No, it's all my karma that I'm facing, and it gives us a lot of peace and kind of focus in our life. But don't judge others on that basis. Don't try to think that, oh, other people are also suffering because of their karma. So just use this principle for your own humility, not for criticizing others. When a person is suffering, we should not start thinking of what karma did he do to suffer. Right? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, yes, Gandharvika.
But when I see such beautiful devotee externally, I can't help but thinking that, oh my gosh, she must have been so, pious in her past lives, and you know that's
That's okay.
the side of the coin. We have this tendency of mind judging. So
Well, that's so. But the word judgment that I'm using is more in a negative sense, where we criticize somebody, we look at defects. You should appreciate everybody. You know, we should uh, we should have unlimited appreciating capacity, because every single human being in this world is looking for appreciation. They have a card around their neck hanging with a chain that, please appreciate me, says that. So everybody's looking for that. So if you're appreciating somebody, it's a very good thing. But
Thank you.
sorry, just give me a second. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
You can hear me? Okay, that's good. Yeah, sorry, I hit my headphones and then I think I pressed a button and something happened and I couldn't hear you all, so I just missed that. Yes, so yes, finishing off what Gandharvika was asking, that yes, we can appreciate people, that's okay, but don't judge them in a negative sense. Don't think that the defects they have are because of their karma. That makes you hard-hearted. But you can surely appreciate them for whatever qualities they have. And it's said that when you appreciate somebody for their good qualities, those good qualities come in you. So no harm in appreciating others. Feel free to appreciate as much as you can. Okay. So yes. So this bodily defect concept, Mahaprabhu was. So there's an episode in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Sanatan Goswami, who's a disciple of Mahaprabhu, comes to meet him. But Sanatan Goswami is walking all the way from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri, and it's scorching heat. It's the middle of the summer. He's walking bare feet, and he's walking on the soil near the ocean in Jagannath Puri. So he's got boils, and he drank some water, infected water, and then he got some disease, and he had boils all over his body. So when he comes and sees Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu hugged him. So Mahaprabhu just focused on what his dharma was as Bhagavan, as being Krishna himself, was to love everybody. He was not looking at Sanatan Goswami's karma. Oh, because of this karma, he's suffering, and then no, don't think of that. So that's a very good. So that's why all our shastras, every story has a meaning behind it. So Draupadi in Mahabharata, when she was disrobed, it was not seen as a past karma. So karma's perspective is based on self-accountability. Yeah, so just wanted to highlight that part here. So don't look at bodily defect in others. Right. So that's that part. Okay. So and even for example, Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he had a Rolls Royce, and he would dress in costly suits sometimes. Even though he was a sannyasi, he had renounced everything because he had to interact with kings, and he cannot go in his simple dress. He was okay with putting on a costly suit, buying a costly car, just so that he can make them devotees. So we should not judge him. Oh, look at him! What a sannyasi is he? That he's given up his dress. He's going around in a Rolls Royce. Sannyasis are supposed to walk bare feet, right? So you don't see a sadhu from your eyes. You see from your ears. And there are very two important marks of a pure devotee, of a pure soul. There's steadiness in bhakti, and the other thing is called mukhya prasadat. Mukhya prasadat means what are the words that are coming out of his mouth. Okay. So when the pastimes of Krishna, these transcendental vibrations come out from the mouths of great devotees, they're actually carrying there's a verse in the fourth canto, 20th chapter, which says that these are basically so when a pure soul speaks about Krishna, the words come out of his mouth, go all the way to Golok Vrindavan. They wrap around Krishna's lotus feet, take the fragrance of saffron, which is on Krishna's lotus feet, and then it comes to our ears. And that's why we get purified when we hear from a pure devotee. Right? That's how I come out of my forgetfulness as a living entity. Because that purity. So the words that are coming out of the mouth and the steadiness, these are very good important markers for a pure soul. Okay, so don't judge them on the basis of bodily concepts. I many times what I do is I judge people on the basis of preconceived notions. Right? I have a fit design, how a person should behave or live like. And if that person doesn't fit in my design, I start to judge them. Right? Somebody might be having challenges in managing his affairs. A devotee was supposed to come at a program to give a class and he doesn't show up. Right? Sometimes you see peculiarity in senior devotees. So you don't judge them on that basis. Right? So we yeah, okay. Lost my thought of truth. So then, yes, Prabhupada is bringing out the concept of criticizing here. We should not criticize others, and we have talked about criticizing in quite a detail, right? What happens when we criticize, we offend somebody, and so forth. Okay. Uh, there was this, I don't know if you all know, but Malati Mataji and Shyam Sundar Prabhu, they're one of Prabhupada's early disciples, very early ones. They had a daughter named Saraswati. She was 5 years old. And Prabhupada was very fond of her. She was Prabhupada's granddaughter. So she was very fond of eating, and Prabhupada would make fun of her and have play with her like a grandfather would. And there was a Prabhupada disciple who saw this, and he was not happy with the way Prabhupada was behaving with that little 5-year-old girl. And that sowed a seed of disrespect in his heart. And one day he was massaging Prabhupada. Prabhupada used to take his oil massage every day. And then he saw on the TV that the man has landed on the moon. And he was very happy. He said, oh, because, that the concept that I'm American, Indian, and my country has made this or something. So that was there. And he said to Prabhupada, they have landed on the moon. Prabhupada said they're lying. Right? And Prabhupada gave references from Bhagavatam and so forth. And this was too much for that devotee. And he left Prabhupada. So that one seed of disrespect, that how can this sannyasi behave like this with little kids, resulted in the fall down of that devotee. So once again, stressing the point not to look at devotees from a materialistic point. Right? We don't see bodily birth, American, Indian, we don't see that. Black, white, it's you might see this happening, but we, as being neophyte devotees, practicing devotees, we have to be very, very cautious in. Even if you see others doing it, you should not do it. Yes, Sandeep.
Rojan, yeah, I think I read this also in Prabhupada's, his autobiography. Basically, like the moon example you gave, right? My only question is like we all know, like technology, kind of allows that to happen. Like we have satellites and things like that, right? So more than likely, like from this standpoint, like somebody has landed on the moon, right? But if you look at Bhagavatam, maybe somebody did not. So how do you reconcile those? Because it kind of has a conflict between what we know and what the Bhagavatam says, and how so.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point you bring up, too. So yes, Prabhupada said man did not go on the moon. At many occasions he said that. But at many occasions, Prabhupada also said that if they have gone, what's great about it? So if you go through Prabhupada, if you can just do you can go on Vani quotes and search for moon, and you'll see Prabhupada quoting both the things. Sometimes you'll say, yeah, they didn't go to the moon because our Shastra says that moon is even farther off than I think it's way farther off than what this moon is. And then he even said that even if they have gone there, what's so great about it? And he even said that, oh, they might have gone to some other planet, right? And his concept was that you cannot gate crash to higher planets. Even in getting into a country, you need a visa, but then you want to get into another planet, you cannot just gate crash them. However, there is a very important point behind it that we all have to understand. His point was, don't get excited about it. Point is that in material existence, at different times, our consciousness will get dragged away or get dragged away from Krishna by many different things. Landing on the moon. Probably one day might come, we might meet aliens. One day you might even have a No, we already have self-driving cars, but okay. Yeah, you might have a 100% self-driving car, whatever it is. The point what Prabhupada wanted to make is that you will have a gazillion things that are going to keep pulling you away from Krishna. And it's the duty of an acharya to do whatever it takes to bring back those conditioned souls back to Krishna. In 1960s, there was a craze about moon race, right? Prabhupada would point out, even if they go to the moon, why are you so excited about it? Even on moon, you're going to eat. You're going to do the exact same things you're doing on this planet. Eat, sleep, mate, and defend. The four basic things that every living entity does. Even animals do it, we human beings also do it. So what's so great about it? So his whole thrust of reasoning was that he has not come to tell to people that whether we have gone to moon or not. Prabhupada has come to tell us how to go back home, back to Krishna. But if people are so excited to go to the moon, Prabhupada has to find out ways so that people don't get distracted. In Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Yena Kena Prakarena Manha Krishna Niveshaye. Some way or the other, get your senses engaged in Krishna's service. Some way or the other. Yena Kena Prakarena. We should just look at the statement of the Acharya. We should also understand the purpose behind that statement. Right? So understand it from that perspective, right? Because you cannot, and going back, right? You cannot gate crash it. Even in your computer, you have files that you're not able to see, which are only accessible to the administrator. But then we are saying that every planet is accessible to us. But however, the essence that I'm establishing at is Prabhupada's purpose of coming here as an acharya was to take everybody to Krishna. And if anything that he found was distracting his disciples or anybody in general, he will do whatever it needs to pull them away from it. So that is why many times he even said that, no, man has not gone to the moon, right? And even today, it's not a foolproof fact. I mean, there are documentaries you can watch where people are claiming that they shot the whole video in somewhere in Texas. And I'm not saying either way. I'm not saying whether man went or not. I'm not in any of the positions, but I'm just telling you that look at it from why Prabhupada said that as a more important aspect. I'll take a pause and see if that made sense, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, and I think that really answers the very first question, that why would Prabhupada say that? I think that's a great point, Prabhuji,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
clarifies. Now, only question is like, so Bhagavatam did say like, that, so perhaps Bhagavatam is talking about some other moon, which is not the moon we know of, that's why Bhagavatam says nobody can go there, but, our science says we can go there. So is
Yeah.
it like...
It could be some other moon, yes. It could be, yeah, because it's not been established, right? Science is still very early on in its discoveries. But I am a scientist by profession, and I know that every day we are changing something. In 1973, somebody found out a protein in the body which said that if you are able to stop this protein from producing, you'll be able to cure cancer. And we are 50 years down, we're still suffering from cancer. So science keeps evolving. One day Pluto is a planet, the other day it's not a planet. So we cannot rely on science so much as we should rely on Shastras, because Shastras have been around forever. So we should base our consciousness, our understandings on Shastra. However, you don't have to go out into the real world and try to point it out to others also. We're not here to fix the whole world. Just take care of yourself and go back home, back to Godhead. But yes, to answer your question, rely more on the Shastras than on the science you read.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very well explained. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Was there another hand I saw? I thought I saw another hand. If there was any other thing.
Yes, Prabhu. You said that we should not judge people, but I mean, we try not to, but sometimes it comes to your mind. How do you take that away from your mind?
You mean like how to not judge others? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. How to not judge others?
Well, first of all, judgment comes from a point of ego, that I know everything, that I know what is right and wrong. So the basic flaw is me thinking that I know everything, right? For example, there's that famous thing, right? That if a fish was evaluated by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will utterly fail. Then you'll start judging the fish. Oh my God, you cannot climb a tree. So yes, you have to first of all understand that this is coming from a flaw of me. It's not that there is something outside. It's all within me, the fault. And you can always do that by being very conscious and by countering your mind in the completely opposite direction. Let's say your mind finds some faults in others. You should very consciously try to look for some good qualities in them. So no, no, no. Let's say somebody, if you're looking at a person, you find some bad things in them. You try to counter it. No, no, but at least he is doing this good, or this is the good quality in him, right? So, so that's one way. And another thing that I have noticed in my life personally is if my bhakti is not strong, these negativities creep in very easily. Your mind is able to overpower you. But if your bhakti or your sadhana is strong, everything that those three modes don't affect you as much. I noticed this. I might have brought this out like for a couple of months ago. I was standing in a temple. I was standing in the temple Sunday evening. Kirtan is the aarti is going on. I'm just looking across people in the temple room, and I'm saying, I'm just finding faults in every single person. And after 5 minutes, I started questioning this. What happened, Prerna? Why did you do that? We thought we got this under control. We figured it out, and it was well in control. Then I realized that my chanting was not happening very well for a month. It was just very bad. I was just doing the round some way or the other, but the quality was not there. And from the very next day, I became more conscious, and that problem went away. So what I'm saying is important is being very conscious in that state that when you see that judgment coming in, immediately counter it by a good aspect, and then also work on your sadhana. I'm not saying your sadhana is bad. It might be very good. It is very good. But try to improve upon it and try to see that that's the root of everything. If there is any suffering happening in your life, you can always attribute it to a lack of good sadhana. Those are a couple of points that come to my mind, Matthew, that can help you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I mean, I try really hard to do that, but I mean, sometimes it does come. It doesn't have to be at the temple, but you're outside and some thought come to your mind and you just try to. I do blame myself every time it comes to my mind. I do tell myself, look at yourself first before you look at others. But
and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing to do, because eventually that's how you control your mind. Because your mind is in that position because you have been doing it regularly. You have been finding faults in others regularly. But when I keep doing the opposite, you are changing your samskara. Samskara are the impressions that I have created in my mind over a lifetime by doing something repeatedly. So how do you remove those samskaras? You start putting in a layer of something else, right? Like, for example, you have a black color ink in a pot. How will you change the color? You keep putting in another different color. Like, so you put white drop by drop, and that will completely turn white one day. So yeah, it takes time, but then Krishna also helps. So don't lose hope. But yeah, Krishna always comes to our help also in that process.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. So yes, okay. So we were doing that, not to criticize others, not to criticize pure devotees, and then we talked about the Hati Mata. We already talked about that, right? And then Prabhupada says a very good statement here that it is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him, right? So, how to say it? So now this might seem very contradictory, because that you might say that, oh, are we saying that we cannot discipline somebody, even if, let's say, he's become a sannyasi and supposedly a senior devotee, would that person not be corrected? No, that's what it doesn't mean here. This is more from a disciple's perspective. The disciple should not correct his guru. Okay, the guru is not. So you understand that Krishna is the highest principle and the guru represents Krishna. So in that sense, the guru is the highest authority for the disciple, right? But then the guru is not the highest authority for everyone. Okay, your guru is not the highest authority for everybody else. He is a high authority, but for you. So as disciples, we cannot correct our guru. So this particular statement that Prabhupada is putting here is more from a disciple-guru relationship that we have to keep in mind. So I just wanted to highlight this here. Okay. So, so when we are in ISKCON, this organization, there are many different ways by which you can understand the superiority, or not necessarily superiority, but the level of a devotee, right? And in the last verse, we read that how uh, it was that people who have been initiated, we should pay obeisance. We should show respect to them. Okay? So that's one way to look at it. When people invest a lot of service, then sometimes devotees are also put at higher positions in the temple, like your temple president, their board members, so and so forth. The people, and within ISKCON we have the governing body commission, so people become members of the governing body commissions. So that's also an indication to see, okay, yes, this person has invested some time and effort in his bhakti. However, these are not foolproof. I'm just giving you some ways to understand it. It can be either way, but these are some ways by which you can look at it, right? For example, then in which ashram that person is. For example, sannyasis, we look up to sannyasis. Right? So when a sannyasi comes into the room, we should always stand up, and then, first stand up, greet that, and then pay your obeisances. So that's another way of understanding. Right? So then nature and the amount of service, I mentioned that. There was this devotee in well, there is a devotee so there's a Prabhupada disciple in New Vrindavan, Varsana Maharaj, His Holiness Varsana Maharaj. Once there was this girl who wanted to join the temple, and she came and joined. All of you might know that the New Vrindavan is in Virginia, which is a predominantly a white population there, white-bodied, not like white, but white-bodied American people. So there was this girl who wanted to join the temple. She came, but then her family members were very angry. They thought that the temple devotees had abducted that girl, and they all came with guns and they started shooting at devotees. And His Holiness Varsana Swami Maharaj, he got shot in his back. He got that hurt him, and then he's still not. I think it hit his spinal cord, so he's still suffering because of that. So that gives you an indication, right? That person, he has invested so much amount of services, he's sacrificed so much, and he continues to serve, so that he's at a much higher level in his process. So we should show our respect to that person. So yeah, so there are some things that I'm saying. Obviously, not all of these are foolproof, as I mentioned. But then there can be an indication there to understand that this person is to be respected, and this person at this level, and this person at this level. Obviously, the quality of inspiration, the guidance that you get from them, the trust you have on them might be different, but still we offer respect. So we have to look at all this, right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a place where we are giving 26 qualities of a devotee. Yeah. So you can look at that and see that, okay, humility, compassion, their realizations, how much are they steady in their process, how much realization they are, how much instructions they are following of their spiritual master. All these can also indicate where does that person stand. Okay. So so Prabhupada, you will notice that Prabhupada, across his books, many times he'll talk about the Krishna consciousness movement that he had started. And the reason is because he had a lot of personal experiences where he was judged or he was criticized, right? And so many things happened to him. And he brings those out as practical examples so that those things may not happen in this Krishna consciousness movement. He had experienced those problems practically, right? For example, he's talking about criticizing devotees. While Prabhupada was in India, Prabhupada would stay at one of his godbrother's ashram, okay? And he would edit the magazine that his spiritual master had started. But then his godbrother didn't want that magazine to expand. And Prabhupada also gave a beautiful speech. You all can, I think it's on Veda base. In one of his appearance days of his spiritual master, where he wanted all the disciples of his spiritual master to unite, but they didn't take him seriously. Prabhupada, when he came to New York, he wanted funds to start a temple here. And he had funds in India from Singhania. There's a big industrialist, he was there at that time, who was ready to give him funds. But then at that time, the foreign exchange was not that smooth. The transaction was not that smooth. So there was somebody who had to go to the Indian government office and seek clearance for the funds to be transferred. And none of his god brothers did that. Right? So, but then Prabhupada's mood was that he wanted to create a house where we all could come and live in. So, but then he saw that his own god brothers became envious of him. They were criticizing him. They were jealous of him because he went to US and they thought, oh, he's just what is he going to do? So if you ever feel envious, critical, or hatred towards any other practitioner, just think of this 70-year-old man struggling in the bitter winters of New York to set up a movement where we all could breathe. We could live our life to the fullest and in its true sense. So whenever you go to the temple, you see Prabhupada sitting on that Vyasasana, and when you bow down to him, remember what he did. This will help you control that enviousness that we all have, that judging capacity, that judging problem. So just think what Prabhupada did for us. And then that should bring our ego in control. And then we will respect Prabhupada more, respect the books that he has written more, respect ourselves more. Right? Right now, what I'm doing is below my dignity. It's below the dignity of the soul. I've been falling to the oldest trick in the book, being attached to matter. And when I do that, I fall below my dignity. And that when I fall down below my dignity, it causes malice in my heart. It creates that darkness, that ignorance in my heart. And that's why we become critical of each other. So always keep that in mind. Right? So, and when you do that, when you appreciate Prabhupada, when you see what he did for us, and when you are able to respect him, respect what he's given us, read his books thoroughly, then what happens is that then you become confident and enthusiastic. Prabhupada was very confident and enthusiastic. When he came here, he didn't have classes with like 100 people coming. Oh, sometimes a single person would come. And Prabhupada would be very happy. There is a story in Leela Amrita, I think it's in the early on chapter 14 or 15, somewhere there. There was a park where Prabhupada would go and sit. This was when he had just come from India. He would go and sit. And there was this Jewish guy who would come there, and then they both became friends. And Prabhupada would tell him, oh, I'm going to have hundreds of temples. I'll have thousands of devotees. But they're just being separated from time. There's a time that I'm going to reach there, but I'm going to reach there. Right? So understand that kind of answering Vidya Mataji's question also in one sense, that when we appreciate what Prabhupada has done for us, when we sincerely respect the movement that we are a part of, and not try to dilute it, not try to modify it, just follow what Prabhupada has given us. Simple as that. You don't have to do anything. Just live here, follow the principles Prabhupada has given us, and you will be successful. We all will be successful. So that's what something Prabhupada is establishing. That's why he gives practical examples. And furthermore, when Prabhupada became very successful, his god brothers tried to pollute his disciples. Right? Prabhupada's god brothers, there was a time when they didn't want him to have land in Mayapur. Right? Some even said that his voice is like a crow. Prabhupada tolerated all that. Right? So we have that kind of, so when you follow Prabhupada, when we all follow Prabhupada, we will surely be successful in our process. So don't offend anybody. Don't become like, as they say, the saying goes, right? Like a bull in a Chinaware shop. You all might have some Chinaware at your house, right? Those melamine dishes, plates, bowls, whatever it is. If you leave a bull in a shop full of Chinaware, then what's going to happen? Then the bull is just going to damage everything. I don't have knowledge. I don't have humility, tolerance. to understand this delicate process. But if I just follow what Prabhupada has given us, then I will be able to progress in my bhakti process. Bhakti is a very simple process, but you have to practice it with 3S. Prabhupada uses these words: strict, serious, and sincere. Practice its seriousness, sincerity, and strictly. The process is very simple. Okay? So don't become like a bull, harming other living entities, judging them. I have so many lessons to learn myself. I'm like a bull, right? So just be cautious of that. So just summarizing, okay? So why not to offend? We are not aware of the reason behind the action of a pure devotee, right? We don't know. That pure devotee's determination is pure, their actions we might not understand. So goal is self-purification, not others' purification. So don't judge others. Row your own boat. That's what will take you home. Don't put a hole in others' boat or judge their rowing capacity. So be careful about that. You might have authority to discipline. When you discipline somebody, let's say somebody voluntarily comes and asks you for guidance and you have to discipline them. Don't, if when you're disciplining them, if it pleases you, then that means it's coming from your ego. But if your correction does not make you feel happy or superior, then you are actually doing a service. So yes, you might have to even contribute to helping others, but then do it always as a self purification. Don't look at it as an ego drive. Right. So yeah, yes, Sandeep, you had something on your mind.
Yeah, probably. So you said about like 3S, like the strict is one, and I think other two make sense. But from the first one, I'm a little bit confused because I think in the previous class you had said that people who are like too much ritualistic or something, right? Some terminology used in the last class. We are too much
Mhm.
focused on like strictness or something. Maybe not strictness is not the right word. Then they cannot have like bhakti, right? So I'm a little bit confused there. Like, what do you mean, like when you say strict versus the other shloka you had discussed last class?
Uh, I'm not sure if I fully understand your question. So you're saying, what does strict mean?
Yeah. So in the previous class, I think you said that one of the shlokas said that people who are too ritualistic, right, or
Uh-huh.
follow a certain way within bhakti, they don't succeed, right? Uh, but today you use like word strict, that if you have to be very strict, right? So how do you like? I mean, I'm not able to relate these two things together because I thought in the last class you said something like bhakti has to be more simplistic and things like that, but here you're saying strictness, right? In the 3S. So
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
I don't mean strict in a sense that you should like ritualistic. No, that's not what I mean. No, no. Strict means I'm trying to understand how to say that. So
Like maybe I can remind like what maybe I'm not
uh-huh,
asking the right question here,
yeah.
but what I understood from the last class was that you said like people who are like maybe more, I don't know, ritualistic is the right word here, but maybe more ritualistic or step by step or things like that, their bhakti does not succeed, when it has to be very simple in that way. But here today you're talking about strictness, right, out of the 3S. So that's what my confusion is there.
Oh, okay. No, no, I don't mean strict in the sense that you should be more ritualistic. I mean strict means that you should be strict in the sense that you should do your sadhana properly every day. That's what I mean. Your sadhana is important. You cannot be like, oh yeah, okay, fine, I won't do my sadhana today. I did it yesterday or something. No, no, be strict in that sense. But don't become ritualistic in the sense that you're just doing that sadhana for the sake of it. That's what I meant. So
Okay,
don't
what do you think? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So don't think it from that. It's just not strictness externally, more strictness internally. Right? That okay, I'm doing this because my guru has told me I have to do it as a duty, that every day I have to do my chanting, my reading and hearing. And I'm doing it because my guru told me and I have faith that it will lead to my purification. Being strict in that sense. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So being strict, and I'll talk about it during. I think this is something I'll be talking about throughout this course, because this is something that Prabhupada stresses a lot on, being strict, sincere, and it'll come in different contexts. So I'll talk in more detail about it at other points. But yeah, that's a good thing to understand. What does it mean to be strict, serious, and sincere? But yeah, so goal
I
is
think
self pure.
Prabhuji, I think Prabhuji strictly follow the 4 basic principles, basically.
Yeah, that's also
Strict.
yes, 4 basic principles and chanting. That's also good, being strict in that. Um, but the understanding internally, the understanding should be that why are you doing those actually? Why should I follow the 4 principles? Why should I chant? When you do that and you do that with good consciousness, then our purification happens. Yes, Sangeeta.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So the Goswamis, they are like um, they have the power, or they are spiritually elevated. So the son of a Goswami, they inherit the power without being practicing, and is it offensive to correct them?
People who have been born as Goswamis, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Well, that's what Prabhupada is saying. You cannot define somebody on the basis of their birth. That's not the right way. Right? Yes, they can be pure. I'm not saying they cannot be pure. But then they cannot be pure by the basis of their birth. They have to have put in some hard effort there to come to that level of purity.
So it won't be the offensive to correct, them, right? Like in the where it says the person. Yes.
Well, see, correction is a different thing. See, first of all, correction is only meant for people who are dependent on you, who are looking up to you for corrections. We should not try to correct anybody. You can correct your children, but I cannot correct other people's children because they're not my children. They're not looking up. They're not dependent on me. I'm not responsible for them. But so yeah, you have to be careful whom you correct. You cannot correct everybody. If that person is doing something wrong, but it shouldn't be bothering you, because that's his problem. Unless it starts affecting you, then you should not try to correct them. And one way to know whether you're correcting in the right mood or not, as I was mentioning, is to understand that what feeling you get when you correct somebody. If your feeling is of
Not
joy,
also.
then that means that it's your ego that's doing it. But if the feeling in the process is that, okay, yes, I'm helping this person, then it's more coming from from the right perspective. So that's also a way to understand whether correcting is right or not.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So don't offend. Don't do any offense against devotees for sure. If by any chance if you have done an offense, you can try to rectify it. Seek forgiveness from devotees. You can, let's say a devotee, he or she left their body, they're not in this world anymore. You did an offense. So you can write a letter to them, don't post it, but when you write it down, when you express it, it's kind of a seeking forgiveness also. So Krishna is not waiting to catch us doing wrong. Krishna is the compassionate God, and he wants to elevate us. Right? So don't get overly paranoid about offenses also. So yeah. One thing to identify an offense is when you do it consciously, as I mentioned, consciously thought out, and there's a sense of malice, there's a sense of wrongdoing in there, right? So then it becomes a problem. Otherwise, it's okay. And even if you're feeling offended from somebody, you can communicate about that to others, but communicate it in a non-agitating way. What that means is that don't assume other person's intentions, right? So yeah. Okay. Anything on anybody's mind? I think that's what I had in my mind.